everyone, welcome back to Willow Grove. In this episode we will be building a gift shop and an ice cream shop. I had a lot of fun building these two buildings, and I'm really happy with how they turned out, even more so than the two buildings in the last episode. So I'm excited to show you guys what I got. And another thing I hope you may notice is that the recording quality hopefully sounds a lot better, because I think the first episode sounded alright. But then the other two, I tried different things to record the voiceovers, and I don't think they sounded very good. I know in the first episode or second episode, I just used the microphone on my laptop, and I thought it sounded all right, but you could definitely hear the echo throughout my room because I just recorded in my bedroom, and you could definitely hear the bare walls and lack of decorations I have in my new apartment. Because you can hear an echo. And then the second episode, I use a gaming headset, and just the gaming headset microphone just does not sound great. But I think I figured it out with this episode, which what I'm using now is I'm just using my phone, the voice memo app, to record, and I'm sitting in my closet, and I put a blanket up over where I'm sitting to hopefully kind of muffle all the sound. It's very DIY voice recording box, I guess you could say. But hopefully the quality sounds a lot better, and hopefully you can't hear the fans on my computer too loudly right now. But yeah, I think it should hopefully sound a lot better, maybe a little not as hopefully it wasn't too hard to listen to the second and third episode. But either way, as I said, I am building a gift shop to start off this video. So this is my first time using the Planet Coaster gift shop assets and everything. And I have to say, I really enjoyed using them. I think they are a lot of fun, and I also do think that you can get a really nice looking gift shop that looks very realistic without spending in hours and hours of building shelves and every little trinket and souvenir. It's definitely a great option for a lazy person like me who doesn't really feel like trying to put in all the hours to make a detailed gift shop. I think it's a great option that lets me focus more on the rest of the park than just like little things like the gift shop. That said, and there's nothing wrong with people who do build their own custom gift shops still. I do think they definitely add such a really cool custom charm to parks whenever I see other people do it. And when I say other people do it, I mean pretty much everyone before they come out of this update. But that said, I had a lot of fun doing it. If I had one little critique with it, the one thing that did annoy me with it was that whenever you have all the counters next to each other, I would select how many shelves that counter can stock, I guess, and it has a cap of 40, but it also gives you an option to connect that counter with the other counters alongside it. So I assume whenever you connect that counter to the other counter, it would add to the amount of shelves that can be stocked, because two counters, if one counter can handle 40 shelves and two counters connected to each other should be able to handle 80. But instead, it just doesn't add to how many like little like shop items that it can handle and shelves that it can handle. So even though you might have like 8 counters all connected, they can still only stock 40 shelves. So I thought that was kind of dumb. I think the more counters you have, the more shelves you should be able to stock. But I mean, it's not that hard of a fix. It's more just, you just don't connect the counters and you get 40 per counter. But I think it's kind of a weird little bug, maybe not even bug, but it's a weird little thing that I think should probably be fixed, just because it doesn't really make sense. But that is my only really complaint with it. Besides that, I loved using it. I thought it was super easy, and like I said, I'm really happy with how the interior looks. And while I do cut it out in this video, I do a full interior for the gift shop. It's based off of, I mean, it's a pretty generic interior, but I watched a video of some Disney gift shops, and I kind of based it off of one of the videos I watched, but not really. You'll see. I'll just give a real-time video, or real-time part of this video to show it off. But either way, with the gift shop itself, it is based off of a building I saw scrolling through Google Images of a little amusement park called Glen Echo Park. It's kind of out of business, Glen Echo Park, but if anyone's ever been to the Washington DC area, it is actually really close to DC. It's about I think it is west of the city. It's about a 38-minute drive from Six Flags America, to give you a reference point. And essentially what Glen Echo was it was just an old classic amusement park, probably a trolley park if I were to guess. I haven't done too much research on it. And it had a bunch of cool old rides way back in the day. I believe they had a wooden coaster, and then they had a Flyers ride and like a Rockets ride that would go around. And they also had a great grand carousel. And while most of the rides are gone nowadays, it is a national park, what remains, and it is has all the historic buildings are still there, along with the carousel. They recently just refurbished the carousel, well, I say recently, but I think within the past, 10 years, they recently restored the carousel, and has a really cool carousel building too. Definitely worth searching up if you're bored and want to see a cool looking carousel pavilion. But either way, definitely is a park I still need to visit. While I was recently in the DC area, we talked about maybe going to Glen Echo Park, but instead we ended up just going into the city and touring all the monuments and everything. But it's definitely a bucket list to just at least go and ride the carousel and see just the whole classic amusement park charm. But anyways, how Glen Echo relates to the gift shop is, as I was scrolling through Google Images, I found a picture of Glen Echo Park, of their Rockets ride that would spin around. In the background, I saw this cool looking pavilion building, and I'll put it on the screen right here. And yeah, I have no idea what this building was used for. Maybe it was a dance hall, maybe it was something else, or park offices or something, but I thought it was really cool. One of the things that really stood out to me was just the curved roofs, which you kind of see me building here. I just really thought it was cool how the roofs would curve around. And I also liked how it seemed to be kind of the base of the building was maybe this like stone brick, or maybe just stones, this darker building material. I think it's stone, that's what I took from it. And I thought that was kind of a cool contrast with the wooden top it had. But anyways, yeah, I had a lot of fun building it. And I definitely need to visit Glen Echo. But one of the issues with those curved roofs was that it kind of maybe forced me to build custom roofs for this entire building, at least for any of the slanted parts. It is one of those things where maybe I could have gone away with just using the normal just Planet Coaster roofs and then just only building the custom roofs where it curved, and maybe I could have gone away with it. But the reason I didn't do that is because I don't like how the difference in textures comes out whenever you can have it right next to a Planet Coaster roof, or just like the stock roofs compared to the custom roofs. You can just really see a big contrast, and even if you have the color the same, it still is noticeable. And the reason I say this especially is because on the entrance building I did this, where it's I used the stock Planet Coaster roofs, like one of those freeform wooden tile roofs. And it came at like a 45-degree angle, so I used just the wooden pieces just kind of fill in the gap, and you can definitely notice it if you watch some of the older videos. You can see exactly where I'm talking about, where the 45s are. It always kind of bugged me, and so I decided right off the bat that it would have to be a custom roof if I really wanted to get those curves. And maybe I put too much effort into it, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. That said, though, I did cut out most of the custom roof building in the time lapse here, just because it's not very exciting. Again, it's one of those things where it's very much just a copy and paste game, or it's just copy and pasting the same thing over and over. So again, I don't think it's very exciting to watch or anything. So it's one of those things I'm fine with just completely cutting out. But either way, I'm really happy with how the roofs came out. And then once I get towards the top, I actually put a little spire on top. And I'm really happy with how that whole thing turned out. That did require me to make a little custom railing too, which wasn't too hard. But one of the things with this building, and you'll see as I go along, is that again, as I was talking about in the last episode, the first half was very much a lot of me just kind of messing around and seeing what works and doesn't work. And then once I figured this all out, it definitely turned into me just copying and pasting the little pieces that I built all around. Like this little detail with the white posts, and then that connects up with the roof with the railing there. That's something I definitely copy and pasted all around. Whenever I go up to building the second level, I use this at the top as well. But yeah, so anyways, so it's kind of interesting. And this park this whole building in general was definitely a little bit harder to build than I realized. Mainly just because even though I had like that blurry picture of the building I was based off of, there really wasn't too much detail. So you might see me a lot in this time lapse of me just pulling up that image again and like looking in at like just a very specific spot just to try and figure out like what the building actually was, because it's like 3 pixels. I'm trying to figure out what this wall, if it was wood, and what the details really look like. Because of that, it definitely caused me a little bit of trial and error, especially with like the roofs and like the second story and everything, and some of the windows as well. So that kind of made things a little bit difficult. And the other thing with it is because there's so many just different little like custom roofs and railings and everything else in this park, a lot of this stuff was like kind of manually placed. And whenever you use the copy and paste tool, you definitely, especially if you're using like the relative move options, you definitely get it moving ever so slightly not relative to the parts. For example, if you move it like placed on a tile and just use a relative move, it will stay exactly on the main relative axes of the part. But then if you copy a whole bunch of them, move them, it might like slide up like a few feet. If you move it, I don't know, 20 feet to the left, it might go up like a few inches. Well, that's a really small thing. It did cause the roof. I copied and pasted a bunch of the tiles on the first story roof, and it caused them to kind of rise up a little bit. So you can't really tell once it's finished. It doesn't really matter, but you can. The roof isn't exactly flush with the walls. It does kind of move up a little bit, but you can't really tell. So I think it's just a minor little thing, and definitely I need to pay more attention to how I'm copying and pasting these things over, because I definitely could not tell in the moment. But either way, right now I'm working on the second story, and the idea I had was that with the second story was that it was fully an area where people could go up on top of. However, it wouldn't be park guests. I think this would be more of an area for employees. And the reason I say employees is because this building in general reminds me a lot of the Parkside Cafe at Kennywood. Like I said, I used to work at Kennywood Park, and on the second story of the Parkside Cafe, there was all kinds of offices and like lockers for employees that you could put your stuff in. Whenever we had our orientation, that's where we had our orientation on the second story of the Parkside Cafe. And that building it's really similar. It's really cool, probably similar to the Glen Echo one, where it's over 100 years old. It's one of the very original buildings of the park. Maybe not like the very original, but like at least from the 1900s. I'm sure someone who knows a little more than me could probably tell you the exact date it was built. But the idea with this was that this is kind of the second story was where employees and everything and all the offices would be, and maybe if an employee or someone wanted just a little break, they could sit out up on top of the balcony here. At least that's the intent. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. I also threw on I added a lot of flowers and planters on the second story. And I think it just really helped just put everything together. And yeah, I'm really happy with this little area. So one of the things I mentioned how I went to DC this past weekend. The main reason I went was actually for Six Flags America. Since if you don't know, Six Flags America is closing for good at the end of this season. So I figured I would want to go, at least I've never been there. So me and my brothers, we wanted to go at least once before it shuts down forever. And it was actually a really nice park. Well, okay, nice is a bit of an overstatement, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And one of the there's a few standout rides. The biggest one for me was definitely the Wild one. It is a classic wooden coaster. It's over 100 years old, and it definitely, looking at the classic wooden coaster I built in my park here, it definitely seems like that Wild one seems like that's how the coaster I built would feel if the coaster I built from Willow Grove was built in real life. I feel like that's the Wild one would feel a lot like it, or other way around. Sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. But either way, I really like the Wild one. It had some really great airtime moments. It had a lot of lateral moments too. The biggest one is a little helix towards the end. You get completely thrown to the left. It felt a lot like the Thunderbolt at Kennywood. And I just thought it was a fantastic ride. Sure, it was a little rough, but roughness on wooden coasters does not really bother me too much, I've noticed. Maybe it's just because like I'm just used to a lot of rougher rides or something. But either way, it was a fantastic ride. And I'm really sad that that's going to be one of the things torn down. Another standout ride for me that I really enjoyed was Joker's Jinx. It was the Premier Spaghetti Bowl. Just a really fun ride. I thought it was smooth enough for a steel coaster from the 90s. And one of the things I really liked a lot about it, compared to something like Flight of Fear at Kings Island, was that during the mid-course, they don't slow you down, which I thought was really nice. So you really can haul through the second half of the ride. Because if you ride Flight of Fears at Kings Island, the mid-course basically brings you to a stop, and then you slowly peter on through until you really get to the base of the spiral, and then you do the corkscrew, and it's fine. Well, Joker's Jinx just goes flying through everything. And I thought it was a really fantastic ride. Now, I think I still like Flight of Fear just a little bit more, because although Flight of Fear does stop you, it's all in the dark, so it's you can't really see where you're going, which is probably part of the reason why it does completely stop you. It's because whenever you're in the dark, you can't really see what's coming. And so you can't really like brace yourself for the different and sudden turns, while Joker's Jinx, it's in the day, so you can brace yourself. And my guess is that you can run a little bit faster without risking people getting as injured, because you can actually brace yourself. Because as a lot of people I'm sure know, if you're just like, whenever it's one of those things where it's like, whenever you see you're about to like get hit by a ball or something, you can tense up your face and kind of prepare for it. If you're like someone throws a basketball at your face, you see it coming. While if you're completely blindsided by a basketball coming to your face, it's going to hurt a lot more because you're not able to tense up at all. So yeah, I don't know. That's just my theory on that. But either way, those were definitely the two standout rides at Six Flags America. And I'm really sad to see those rides get probably are going to get torn down. Unfortunately, Superman was closed whenever I was there, along with Batwing. Batwing was kind of expected, but Superman not so much, so I was a little bummed out about that. But overall, I still had a great time. I also like Firebird and Roar. I liked all the coasters there. The only one I didn't get on besides Superman and Batwing was the SLC. It was running, but we just wanted to leave, and we didn't really feel like waiting in line for one of the shittiest SLCs in the country, as they say. But either way, it was a great park, and I'm really sad to see it go. Anyways, back to what I'm building though. Right now I just started an ice cream shop. So this ice cream shop was probably, this is probably my favorite build I've had so far in this park. Mainly just because I just think it turned out really well and pretty much was exactly as I envisioned it in my head. And this building in general was a lot easier to build compared to the gift shop. Because remember how I mentioned earlier that whenever I was building the gift shop, I couldn't really make out the details of the building. For this ice cream shop here, what I did is I looked at a couple of Google Images references, kind of took like my favorite elements from each like reference image, and then I drew a picture of what I wanted to build. So back in college, I took an engineering art class, which is kind of basically just how to just draw like different little engineering things, such as buildings. That was actually one of the projects we had, was just to draw a picture of a building. So within like 5 minutes, I quickly sketched out the idea of what I had for this ice cream shop, and I'll put it on the screen right here. So yeah, this is why I sketched it out. I sketched it out, like I said, in like 5 minutes, took elements from different Google Images. And with this sketch, it gave me a really good foundation to build this building off of. Pretty much all the details, like made all the main details and like how like the general like spires and things I wanted to look are pretty much done going right into this, thanks to this drawing. So this is definitely a technique I want to use a little bit more as I go into building different buildings and different things for the park, scenery pieces, and just because it definitely made the process a lot easier, and this definitely made it a lot easier to edit as well, because the gift shop I cut out probably at least like a solid probably 5 hours of footage. Now granted, a lot of it was just placing down roof tiles, but there's a lot of like parts where I just jump around the camera and I'd be like looking at the building from all different angles, trying to figure out like how I want something to look as I was building it. Well, this is pretty much I cut down like 2 things, and it was pretty much all stock, and definitely let me build a lot quicker too. It's definitely something I recommend doing if you have any kind of artistic ability, or even if you don't. I think as long as you can get your idea more or less down on paper, it should be more than sufficient to build a decent building. But anyways, yeah, with this ice cream shop, it was, yeah, like I said, just took my favorite elements. I really like this little like roof trim I added here with the pink and brown. Then I added a little bit silver metal to kind of separate the squares, and I think that was a nice little added touch. And another thing I really like about it was the roof. So you may notice it's a brown tiled roof, and then I put a metal roof. I forget, I think it's a resort roof. Or no, I think it's a Gilded Age roof. I forget the name of the roof. And it's that metal looking roof inside the brown tile roof. I initially started this way back with the scooter rental building, just kind of get that metal, like modern day metal roof look going for it. And then I actually built a bathroom next to the gift shop. I cut it completely out of this video because the building itself was really boring. It's just kind of just a filler building. I didn't see the point of making the video longer when I didn't have to put it in. But either way, when I was building that bathroom, I wanted to put another metal roof design on it. So I built this little roof here, and I was messing around with the colors. And one of the things I did is I put the brown with the mint green as like the highlights. And I thought it looked a lot like mint chocolate chip ice cream. And then that's what kind of gave me the idea for the ice cream shop in general. And I thought the roof would look perfect on top of an ice cream shop. So I ended up literally just copying the roof I built for the bathroom, just putting it over here and then setting it aside while I finished building the bathroom. And so, yeah, but yeah, that's how I got the idea of the ice cream shop. And I really think the roof looks pretty sweet. But anyways, yeah, moving on. This is, like I said, this is great. And as I'm building this, I'm going to talk about just some other random things that came to mind while I was thinking of things to talk about for this video. Going back to the whole Planet Coaster gift shops, I think it's a great addition to the game. And some other things I'd like to see added to the game moving forward is I really hope to see some different DLC of some new coaster types. And while I could talk about all the different coaster types I really want to see, one thing that I noticed is that recently someone, I forget their name, but they released a custom add-in to the game of a Intamin, Intamin single rail, or I think they're called like the Hot Rods or Hot Riders, I forget. Either way, someone made a custom mod for Planet Coaster 2 already of the Intamin single rails. And I feel like that's the first time, maybe I'm wrong with this, but I feel like that's the first time we've really seen a custom mod that's a full coaster model that you can use and build inside your game. With Planet Coaster 1, we saw like little things such as like camera improvements and stuff that would kind of jailbreak the whole coaster building editor, but we never really saw actual like ride models going into the game. Other than like maybe like some texture changes. And I find this really interesting just because, well, one, where was it in Planet Coaster 1? And two, I'm curious to see if this could potentially stir up some drama with Frontier. Mainly just because, imagine this guy, or the guy that built the Rail Rider, I know he also recently made a video of just a modern day Intamin Blitz, similar to Velocicoaster. And I feel like, and while I don't think there's any switch tracks in it, I know one of the biggest comments to see in all like the Frontier like update videos and everything is people want an Intamin Blitz with the or an Intamin sit down LSM coaster, whatever what the proper name is. People want that with the switch tracks, and I see a guy who already made a model of the LSM cars and the track. How much more would it be for him to put in swing launches and switch tracks, and then just release it as just a custom mod for free? And I think if he does that, I feel like that could be something that could really stir the pot with Frontier, because I feel like given how many times I've seen it commented on their things, it's probably in the works for a DLC. I could be completely wrong, maybe it's not, but if it is, and this guy releases his version of it before the official update, that's going to take a lot of money from Frontier. That's going to take a lot of money from Frontier, and people will probably just go with the free version, especially if it's high quality, which from the RMC or from the single rail, it seems like it is. So yeah, I don't know, that's just a thought I had. Maybe he won't release anything, or won't really compete with anything Frontier does, and it won't really matter. And I say he like he's the only one. I'm sure there's probably gonna be other people as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a thought, I could see it maybe causing an issue further down the line, or it won't. But either way, right now, going back to the building here, this is one of my favorite little additions to the ice cream shop. I built a little ice cream cone to put on top as two little ice cream cones, as like just kind of like a weenie of the building itself, something to look at. I just think it's a nice little decoration, and it really ties everything together. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks very similar to ice cream, and I just use the geometric shapes, which those geometric shapes combined with just the scaling options are just so powerful, and you can really make anything you really want with those geometric shapes. After that, I gave the ice cream shop a name here. I did kind of the same little trick I did with the scooter rentals, where I kind of had the shadow behind the text to kind of make it pop a little bit more. And then I decided to name the ice cream shop Cold Stone Creamery. I went to college up at Penn State, and there's an ice cream shop in downtown called Cold Stone. I can't remember if it's Cold Stones or Cold Stone. Either way, pretty good ice cream shop. Definitely recommend it if you ever are in the Penn State area, in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was a cool name, so I figured I'd name the ice cream shop in the park after Cold Stones. And also, if you're ever in the Penn State area, definitely go to the Penn State Creamer. That's like the on-campus ice cream shop where they make their own ice cream from scratch. I feel like some people might get upset if I don't mention it. So yeah. But after that, I was pretty much just finishing up the building here. Another little trick I did was I was watching a Mineral video, and he mentioned how people can use just the metal fence, kind of like the chain link fence. And people will sink it into a wall, and it makes it look like kind of like that plaster tile, I guess, wall that you kind of see around at some like ice cream shops and inside on counters of like diners and that sort of thing. So I did that trick there, and I thought it looked really cool. And yeah, I really think it's kind of neat. So anyways, going back, like I said, I cut out a lot of stuff from this video. One of the things I cut out was building that whole, bathroom. Like I said, I don't feel bad about cutting that out just because that's kind of boring. But another thing I cut out was I went through the entire park and really just kind of added in little things that kind of add a little more pop to the park. Like added in a bunch of benches, added in a bunch of planters, and I also added in like a little like a custom planter flower thing going on in front of the wooden coaster station. And then I also did a whole backstage area behind the gift shop. Now, while the gift shop itself is a building that, in my mind, is built in like the 100 and maybe like 1900s, so it wasn't built as a facade. It was built as a building that you could see all sides on, similar to that Park Services building. I figured nowadays it probably would be more of a backstage area, given it's right along the midway. So I built a whole backstage area. And to show off everything that I built off camera, I think I'm gonna do a real-time recording right after this, and hopefully I'll be able to show off all the little different additions I added, because I feel like I put the time into it. I may as well show it off. But yeah, with that though, that's pretty much all I really have with the recording. So I'm gonna end it here, and I will see you guys in the real-time recording. Okay, here we are in the real-time recording. So as I said, I did a lot of work off camera, and I think you can probably tell right away just by the ice cream shop here. You can see all the trees and the whole seating area I did. Yeah, here's the whole gift shop first, starting off with this. Really love how this building turned out. I just think it just looks great. Really ties in the whole right side of the midway here, especially when you look at it from a whole. Yeah, one of the things I don't like is that I use like the Western building set, these little like wooden brackets. And I think it definitely, the render distance a little bit off, because whenever you zoom out, you kind of see like the texture goes away, especially when compared to these ones where they kind of stay, which is a new piece from the resort stuff, where they stay no matter how far out you go. But whatever, minor things. And then, like I said, I also added a bunch of benches, and I found these trash bins on the gift shop that I thought looked really cool. So anyways though, let me go into Tegid Cam, or whatever it's called now. The free look cam, that's what it is. Okay, so yeah, like I said, walking around, I think it looks great. And then whenever you come in here, I did the full interior. One of the things for every reason I went with the purple roof. This kind of came from just like a Disney gift shop I watched where it had a purple roof. I think it's like in the downtown Disney area. I thought it looked really cool. And then I just added like just some little things as well, mainly like this air duct, just kind of add a little bit of detail, added this little employee only door, along with like just some curtains running along the top. I thought kind of tied things in nicely. But yeah, like I said, I really love how these little gift shop assets look. It's not as detailed as I could have gone, with like, as far as the interior goes. I think I probably could have added something on the center here. But I think it's enough to kind of give the feel that I'm looking for, that it's a gift shop, and I don't necessarily need to go completely overboard with it. But yeah, really happy with how this whole thing turned out. Just looking at this, I built a little like queue for the counters using just the gift shop elements, which you kind of see is a lot in like department stores and Target and that sort of thing, and definitely in parks as well. So especially if you have kids and you have all the little knickknacks here, definitely I feel like this is me, kids asking their parents to buy it for them. But yeah, anyways, that's the inside of the gift shop. Really happy with how this turned out. Walking under the porch here, I had these little planters, just all in every other post, just kind of adding a little more life to the park. Also added in some lights, did some window trim as well. And yeah, I think this looks really great. Going over, I also made some little changes to the previously built buildings. Like for the scooter rental shop, just added some lights at the top. Realized there's no lights, and if it's dark, it'd be kind of hard to be navigating through the sea of scooters. Another thing I added with the guest services building, whenever I was rewatching the time lapse, I noticed I put in these little red balls and then deleted them at the top of the spires here. I thought that looked really cool, so I don't know why I deleted it in the moment, so I brought them back in. And I just think it kind of ties everything together a little bit better. Then when you walk inside, like I just added some little roof support beams. I just think it just adds a little tinge of realism. Well, from an actual structural engineering side, it probably makes sense that you need something to be holding up these beams, especially if there's kind of a second level to this to the building. But also just kind of adds a little more to it. And then I can kind of show up the pictures I added here as well. Just screenshot them, add a black and white filter. But I think it looks, I just think it's a really cool added touch. So yeah, those are the main two things I added with these two buildings. Whenever I was at Six Flags, actually not America, I was at Six Flags Great Adventure the other day, and I noticed that the benches on their midway wasn't placed all the way at the back here. It was more placed like right where the brick meets the pavement. I guess it's kind of like how they are in, in real life, but there's a street here. Usually have the benches right along the edge of the street, especially if it's like a bus stop or something. So I put them down like that. And then the last little thing I just want to show off is if you go into Haley's Comet here, on the back side, I noticed that the railing on the wooden coasters in this game is huge. To the point where if they have to evac someone, or they have to evac from the lift hill, anyone could just fall below the railings if there's nothing to catch them and stop them. Like right here, you can see it's literally above the people's heads as they're sitting down. I thought that was a little bit unrealistic, at least for the lift hill. It's not uncommon to have huge railings like this along just a normal track length, but I thought the lift hill was a little too much. So instead of just adding like the two like steel cables, I thought it'd be kind of cool to add the chain link fence. I believe I've seen this before on I think the one in Michigan's Adventure. Is it Grizzly? The giant out and back CCI wooden coaster. I believe it's like this. That, or might be thinking of another coaster. Can't remember. Either way, though, I thought it was cool. And my brother told me it looked stupid on a classic coaster, but I don't care. I think this seems like something that would be added like in like the early 2000s. It looks kind of ugly, but it kind of brings a little charm to it in my eyes. So yeah, it's just a little thing I added. And then the last little thing, I also added support beams going across the roof of the wooden coaster station. You can kind of see them there. That's the other thing. And then off camera, I also did this little garden thing here. Mainly just to mimic the sign. So I have the orange on top, dark purple, and the bottom is white, similar to the posts. I mean, there's not too much going on with this, but just another little thing I thought I could show. And then the last little area I'd like to show off is the Cold Stone Creamery. Again, really happy with this. Still have to do the interior for it though, but whatever, I'll probably do this off camera. And I'll just show it the next time I do a real-time thing. Well, the ice cream cones on top, and then I did a little seating area along the creek here, which I think really kind of adds a nice vibe to the park. I think I need to add some more rocks and stuff in the creek. But going back, I had these little lights going over it, kind of bring a charm, especially when it's nighttime. And then going to the back here, I added a whole backstage area. Let's see, can I get over there? No, I can't. I have to get out. Let me just go on over here. So here's the whole backstage area. Just move that. A little trick, if you do Control-Shift-G, it'll remove like the HUD or the UI or HID, whatever what the menus are. HID, I don't know. Either way, here's a little backstage area. Nothing too fancy, but you have a door going into the ice cream shop, a few staff doors. I just kind of went on the workshop and found just a bunch of random things to put back here. Like this little ladder, I thought fit nicely, along with this like little wooden crate. I put in the water pump that just comes with the that's in like the facility tab. Again, maybe not. It's not the most realistic looking thing, but I think it kind of fits back here at least, especially when this is something that like realistically, this is probably the only time you ever really want to see it on the video. So who cares? And then back here at a forklift, found this on the workshop, thought this looked really nice. Add a little storage container, in that ladder again, and then I just put the again the facility pieces, the electrical distributors out here, along with some dumpsters, and a little parking lot probably for maintenance or something like that. But yeah, anyways, like I said, I think this is, I really like how this midway turned out. I think it's about done. There's maybe a few little like tweaks I'll make off camera, but nothing substantial. I still want to cover this whole thing up, but yeah, except really happy with how this park's coming together. Oh, before I forget, the bathroom. This is the bathroom I completely cut off camera. Like I said, there really isn't much going on with it. It's just a pretty simple building. It's pretty much it's pretty much built similar to this one here, especially with like the little like wooden things at the entrance. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It fills in the space. But anyways, though, like I said, I'm really happy with how this whole midway area is coming out. I just think I think I'm really excited to move forward with the next little bit, which I don't think you noticed it. I'm going to attempt to do a Noah's Ark, which I'm not going to talk too much about it now. But if I can get the motion right, using the animation pieces, I think it's going to happen. Still struggling to get that to work, but it's getting pretty close, as you can see. So I'm really excited to show you guys that in the next video. But either way, I will see you guys in the next one.